Oki, Abawatstich, Dananstara, Tansi, Tonshi, Bonjour, and hello. My Blackfoot name is Namshkai Inyuma, Thunderpipe Capture. My English name is Jennifer Thompson, and I'm president of Edami Dodatsiop, the Confluence Historic Site and Parkland. Welcome to the opening of the Confluence Symposium, where we will be spending the weekend with art, ideas, and each other to gain understanding about the land that we live on. In fact, this entire symposium is an acknowledgement of the land that we live on. And this land is the traditional territories of the Nisitapi Blackfoot Confederacy, including the Siksika, Piikani, Kainai, and Amskapi Piikani First Nations. The Iyahe Nakota Wiskatabe First Nation, comprised of the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nations, and the Dene people of the Tsuut'ina First Nation. This is also homeland to the historic Northwest Métis and to the Otipemshwak Métis Nation of Alberta, Districts 5 and 6. So I mentioned before that the Blackfoot name of the confluence is Edami Dodatsiop, which translates to harmonious meeting place. It symbolizes our commitment at the confluence to honoring the full and complex histories of this site and to fostering strong, positive relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. It's now my pleasure to introduce Minipoka, Elder Peter Weasel Moccasin from Kainai Nation. Peter gifted me my Blackfoot name, which I'm so proud of and so grateful for. That happened earlier this spring. He guides so much of our work here at the Confluence, and we could not be more honored to have him here to open with a blessing. So please help me in welcoming Minipoka.
I will say a few words in English, and I think there's a principle for prayer, a principle for blessing. I believe there's a principle for humor. I'll have to find that out. Okay, Aitanikko, Minipoka, Etsmachkakya Moksi, Itapotakian. Umkinek pitaki exteistamat, Mitskinimat, Matea Pishinaki, Mataonimex, Sinax, Tetchinikokia, and no Chakui. Avania Stipado Pichi Putoki, and then Honistotista Pichi, Nisto. Itani Eschinach Goa Otapi, Matsikimi Koatao. Anno Xaku Master Patapil Pichi Boots, Ganasuka, Anedan Stotista Pitoy. Kinoki Kitska Pini Pat Bakato Top, Okutuka Kills, Anedan Stotista Pichi. Now I will give you a prayer and your blessing. Pray in your own way, worship in your own way. No. I suppose I could say there's no comparison. We just believe that that's what we were given by the Creator. Okay, na tosi. Agitsi na satak nokkatakui ka. Ika just takapi. Mokse. It's the makakya. Madakuts pumbista na tsumuiska. Kanasuka nga pi kotsisa. Anni kotaitsistatu ja anni kotaiksimstatu ja ni asukitsistatu ja akoksi skipomekka pioka anni kissuhtaka kannakmaani tappi maanaistoasi annaka kumkina kipita kinokaaksikoakka kaks saptaanamuukja annika matuumeetapi Ustoanneitsinnikattu, hänet ägektas pummua uutapiisin. Maktotista piitsiisa, maktikkisitsiisa nii päätäpiisin. Hauseen ohtas pummistatu. Ooknohkisti kuiskaakuttakui. Apuatuistut sitä, kun päätäpiisin. Heitaa muutkai. Ekipistä pukska setuumia aupouta kiohkuissina si. Akei taamita paupia hukua. Naktustootsimotsia huku soeksussuku. Otsita piimaeksi, naapiimaeksi, pitaameeksi, uhpa. Ja se ei nohpua atsimui. Mä kuhkee iitaamaapis. Häni seitsiiku, käystäekkistiku, kuunskui. Hannikaag mä tuumikuun, jakanääksis kiipua. Aks kuna taa piikis siitämisena. Aksi ista pipukaistatu istsiistämisena. Tääksi kais haukkaman. Hannik nii pui. Hei puumhkatui. Hanna kaaka kuka. Sakatsi taamististutsi. Anneek johanist pummuhpua uuta piisi. Kilakki nii puotumu. Jahkasta vaapsatupua. Jahkastsatupua. Anneek mohsukui. Jaksissinskiipua nisamuksu. Jahkumhkina. Jaksit pitää. Naa piiosin. Niistä otsimaikkaa mutaanika.
Thank you so much, Peter. 2025 marks 150 years since the Northwest Mounted Police arrived in Moccasin, the place we now call Calgary. Past commemorations of this civic milestone have celebrated the history of the Northwest Mounted Police with big initiatives like the 1975 horseback reenactment of the first river crossing by the Mounties. That was the same year that this 42 acres was preserved as a park for all Calgarians, and construction began on the Fort Calgary Interpretive Center, the same building that serves us in the work that we do today to bring community together right here. The establishment of Fort Calgary in 1875 was momentous, and it will always be a major piece of the site's history. But the way we look back on it today is not in celebration. To mark the 150th anniversary, the Confluence is taking a more reflective approach. Our event series, 150 years later, reflecting on Fort Calgary's legacy, invites community members like you, artists, and historians to look closely at this history through a lens that acknowledges the lasting impacts of colonization on Indigenous peoples and our society today. On the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, the series officially began with the Circle Camp of teepees from Treaty 7 nations and the Confluence's own painted lodge. It was transferred to us last Monday by Minipoka. Thousands of people visited the camp throughout the day and were reminded that not only Indigenous peoples were here on this very spot first, but they are still here and they will always be here. That gathering set the tone for this whole series. We are here to share and learn the truth, to reckon with it, and imagine a future where we all carry the weight of our past, the good and the bad of it. The Northwest Mounted Police helped enforce the Indian Act, controlled movement through the pass system, returned children who escaped from residential schools right from this site, and prepared the West for settlement. Those legacies shape our present. Today, there are more Indigenous children in foster care than there were in residential schools, and Indigenous peoples remain disproportionately represented in prisons across Canada. Reconciliation is just a word, but change requires action. At the Confluence, we are finding ways to enact change with Indigenous partners. Through our reciprocity program, we support Indigenous-led events to ensure Indigenous communities have ongoing access to this culturally significant site. Alongside it, we have opened Nadawapidokanop, Holy Gathering Place, a ceremonial space operated by the Aboriginal Friendship Centre of Calgary, where Indigenous traditions and healing can be practiced and shared in downtown Calgary. These are not symbolic gestures. They are actions that contribute to the decolonization of this institution and reshape how we can live out our responsibilities as treaty people. And so that brings us to why we're here tonight. The Confluence Symposium opens the door to inclusive and critical conversations about Fort Calgary, colonialism, and the ongoing legacies of these histories. We hope the speakers who will share their knowledge with us over the next 3 days will shed light on how the systems that arrived here with the Mounties 150 years ago continue to shape our present and take us into the future. We've been planning the Confluence Symposium since 2024. At the start of this year, the University of Calgary joined us as a partner on the event, and we were so lucky to welcome Dr. Nancy Janovic. Sorry, I've been practicing that, and I still got it wrong. Okay, Dr. J, and Dr. George Colpitts onto our planning committees. You will meet them this weekend and as they MC sessions on Saturday and Sunday. With George and Nancy on the planning committee, the scope of the conversation expanded. They helped us identify relevant themes and connect us with the experts to speak about them. Our partnership with UCalgary has taken these conversations further by examining the roots of our institutions and by asking how research can translate into tangible change. We hope that this symposium will be a rich and powerful experience because of the diverse mix of perspectives it holds. I'd like to thank the University of Calgary for their partnership and take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Charles Tepperman, Associate Dean of Communities for U of Calgary's Faculty of the Arts, to open our symposium.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here and to see you all tonight. I'm really honored and excited to be here today with you and to express on behalf of the Faculty of Arts our appreciation for the work that Confluence is doing. The University of Calgary is committed to reimagining and nurturing meaningful relationships with Indigenous peoples in teaching, learning, research, and community engagement. The university's plan for this work, Itapatope, underscores the need to critically interrogate colonial histories and to create shared spaces for exploring different approaches to knowledge and knowledge creation. By bringing together scholars, Indigenous knowledge keepers, and community members here today, we live out the values of justice, equity, transformation, and connection. The Faculty of Arts joined as a partner on the symposium back in February 2025. Since then, professors in the Department of History, George Colpitts and Nancy Dr. J, I know Nancy. Nancy Janovicek, have sat on the Confluence Symposium Committee. It's our hope that the symposium does more than showcase research. It opens doors for communities to see themselves in the questions we ask and the answers we pursue. When research is grounded in evidence and shared openly, it helps build trust, counters misinformation, and nurtures informed citizens. UCalgary's strategic direction is clear. We're committed to putting community at the center of what we do, whether that's education, research, or partnerships, and UCalgary is proud to be part of this symposium. Together, the Faculty of Arts and the Confluence have worked hard to put together a group of credible and diverse speakers to tell a deeper story of our city's history than we may be accustomed to hearing. So thank you for engaging us in this work, and good luck with the symposium.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tepperman, and I'm sorry that we got you tongue-tied on Dr. J's name again. So this event series has been a long time in the making. When we started planning, we had a lot of big budget ideas, but no budget yet. Luckily, our plans came together and so did our funding. And we are incredibly grateful to the Government of Canada, the Government of Alberta, Calgary Arts Development, the Alberta Museums Association, and especially the City of Calgary for making this series possible. At the Confluence, we take our responsibilities as a civic partner very seriously, and we work closely with the City of Calgary on many initiatives that contribute to the amazing and unique community that makes this city so special. One initiative is building the Indian Residential School Memorial on this site. Harold Horsefall, Indigenous relations strategist with the City of Calgary, has been working so hard for many years to make this project a reality. I'm very pleased to invite him up now to speak on behalf of the city.
Good afternoon, good evening. And yes, I am Harold Horsefall. A couple of people asked me if I was Adrian Stimson. I was like, unfortunately, I am not. So yes, purpose of today's gathering and this symposium is excellent, and we are reflecting on 150 years since the Northwest Mounted Police arrived here and established Fort Calgary. In 1975, that history was celebrated with reenactments. Today, as you can tell by the space, if you've been down to the Holy Gathering Place, and hopefully soon with the Residential School Memorial, you'll see the approach is much different. This symposium asks us to reflect on the full story, acknowledging the impacts of colonization and honoring the resilience of Indigenous peoples. Centering Indigenous voices in marking this milestone is a departure from the way that things used to be done. And it signals progress in how Calgary understands its history and our commitment to building a better shared future through reconciliation. The symposium also opens the exhibit Dark Chambers by Adrian Stimson, who I am not. And he is not only the artist behind that powerful work, but he is the lead artist for the Indian Residential School Memorial, or more properly named, the Wandering Spirit. The design concept that was selected for the Indian Residential School Memorial Project. But actually my personal story began across the river from the Confluence, in that I was born at the Calgary General Hospital. So I'm a born and raised Calgarian. I'm originally from Treaty 4, and I really wanted to say that we are all treaty people, as I'm from Treaty 4, and to really recognize the Siksika Sitapi, the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Yithka Stony, the Yithka Nakota Wichestabi, or the Stony Nakota, the Tsuut'ina, and the Otepemzwak Métis Nation. And just to really, say they're treaty people, but everybody is treaty people. And so with that, that is the extent of my notes. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold. I think what I'll say too, if I can just speak a little more to Harold. I've worked with Harold now for a time, for quite a long time actually. We've probably, since 2017. Yeah, it's been a while. And Harold has fought tirelessly and advocated for the Indian Residential School Memorial. And if it wasn't for Harold, and certainly his co-lead, Shelley Kellogg, who is not here tonight, but Harold has fought tirelessly. I've been in rooms where he has advocated very strongly for the memorial to be here in Calgary. And if you didn't know, Alberta had the most residential schools in the whole country. And so it's really important that we have the memorial here. And it's even more important, I think, that we have it at a place of healing like the Confluence. So as someone who is a treaty person to another treaty person, thank you again, Harold, for all of your advocacy and your support.